Well, hey everybody. I wanted to check in. I'm going to do a little plein air painting today. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and that's my view. Going to try to make a little 8x10 here. And I'm here for the Oil Painters of America National Show. And we have a little plein air painting competition that goes on too. So I'm here for the week and painting for the last couple of days. There are little bugs everywhere. I don't know what they are, but yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about that. So I'll show you my scene here. Got this beautiful lighthouse out here. There's actually been some dolphins in the shallows right in front of me that are really cool too. I got some video of that. I'll show you. Compositionally though, I think I'm gonna use those trees, that bank of trees there, and maybe move the lighthouse so that I've got both. I've got a middle ground and the lighthouse. The lighthouse just out there in the middle of the bay isn't really what I want compositionally, but look at that sun. I'd paint that, except it's changing every minute. All right, we have a beautiful sand beach. Here's my setup today, 8x10. I've just brought my mini prolific painter easel out. See how cool that is? And then I've got a tripod here that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. And I've put it up on I'm on this kind of storm wall, I guess. And what happens, or what I'm trying to do is just avoid having the legs sink in the sand. And these bugs look at these bugs on my arm. Yeah, they're biting me. It doesn't hurt, but not sure what's going to happen to me. I might swell up tonight. Got my pack. I brought, a roll of paper towels. Remnants of COVID days. But I just brought a small pack because I had to fly. Brought some water and the case for my tripod. Let's see what else. This is my packet of paints you've seen in my plein air gear video. Traveled fine, did not get confiscated. And there's my setup. So I'll get to work here. Well, since I flew on the plane, I didn't bring Gamsol, and I haven't gone and gotten any. So I'm using that solvent-free gel from Gamblin. But I've just pre-toned, just made this kind of purple gray here, mostly. And I've got this kind of a cool gray here from Rembrandt on the palette. Since there's a lot of clouds and such, I'll use that as a base so I can get this going here. So I scrubbed that on, and then I'm going to use my paper towel to just wipe a lot of it off, but I'll have a toned canvas here. And that'll give me a decent base to apply paint on too without having to worry about it too much. As far as choosing the color for the base, I just kind of went with something that's aligned with the atmosphere, but a little bit warmer, because I'll be putting a lot of blues on top of this. So I like to have something that'll give a little warmth, maybe. We'll see how it works out. Since I'm going to move the lighthouse into this scene over here, I'm getting an idea on how high and where I would put it to look natural off in the distance there. This is just my drawing, getting kind of placement of things where I want them. It might be a little too steep. I should probably do a drawing in my sketchbook, honestly, but yeah. I'll lighten this shape in later. This is just really still drawing. I'm not trying to paint everything. Just get the general drawing in and some of the color. I am going to add some white in here and kind of map in where I want the ocean to be. So yeah, I really want that characteristic characteristic feeling of that outline of that ridge with the trees, and then there's some sand dunes and stuff in here. So I'll get a little of this sky in here, and it's time to probably start some serious painting. But really what I want to do is figure out where I want the lighthouse. If I want some of it here, I don't really want it there because I don't want the point of the land intersecting where that hits. I want it back in here a little bit, so I think I'm gonna actually probably put it probably like right in here, but I'm gonna not film because I need to really think about it here. I just get it in generally here, make sure it's the right width versus the shape, the ratios are right. The actual lighthouse is kind of a rusty red. I made it a little bit bigger so it's, you know, still the focal point there. Got the drawing in. Now those edges look a little rough, but I'll clean those up when I put the sky in. So painting in the sky behind it, I'll be able to draw the rest of that in. It's kind of some scratchy paint. And I have a, I used gesso on this board. It's an MDF hardboard. And I put gesso down with kind of a rough chip brush, is what they're called. So that's why I have those marks in there. And then when I put my pre-tone on and wiped it off, you know, it settles down, the stain of the paint settles down in the little grooves there. That'll add some texture later in the finished painting, I think. All right, so just using my paint to kind of shape up, my sky color to shape up the lighthouse. I don't have a ruler or anything. I just get the brush positioned right and kind of just let my arm slowly fall. The sky has all these little bands of colors. So I'm just using that cold gray, titanium white. Actually, I'm using titanium zinc. I chose titanium zinc because it can get a little grayer, pearly looking with titanium white, or with the zinc in it. And you know, you get a lot of that pearly gray kind of going on here. Alright, so now I'm just putting in some of these darker purples under the cloud here. And designing. Now the panel's in full sun, so that makes it a little bit harder to judge my values. So I'm relying on what I got going on down here and those relationships. Make sure I don't go too dark. But really the sky, you know, it keeps changing, so I'm just trying to get compositional. I'm putting lines in to support the composition overall. So now I've got the sky blocked in, and now I'm just punching it up with a little bit of these bright lights that really just energize the sky here. And I don't want to mix it all and blend it all. I want to keep all of this. So I'm being real gentle with my touch. So that I don't lose the energy in those little bits of pigment there. Just makes it fun to look at. All right, so I turned my canvas into the away from the sun, so it's at yeah, it's just not so bright on the canvas, and I can judge my values here. And just starting to work on coming together pretty good. There's the lighthouse out there. The problem is now I got the trees to my back, the trees that I'm trying to paint, so I got to turn around to see my subject there, but that's okay. It's easier to judge the light dark values of my paint when the sun's not on the canvas, and it was getting pretty bright. You know, on the coast here I'm finding so many really cool shapes of trees too, so I don't want to just, you know, I want to honor the uniqueness of vegetation here, because the wind, I think, you know, really kind of shapes it all. Coming together pretty good. You know, this whole mass is just one big dark shape, and then I've been pulling out some of the you know, some of the areas of color, grasses and that kind of thing, but it really just comes down to being a shape. I'll put some sand in here basically, and then come back through and make some grasses. So I'm just going to keep working this area in here to make it enough interest, so you can tell it's a bunch of foliage and sand coming up and grasses, but not really too much. I don't want the center of interest to be here. I just want your eye right in this area. All of this is gonna, you got to lead in here, takes you into the background, takes you back up. Got the lighthouse. This kind of keeps you in the lighthouse area. These, you know, brighter horizon line there adds a lot of visual interest, I think. I got into the detail a little bit there and didn't film, but just scraped in some branches, and then I went with my palette knife and did some palette knife work. But all of this, these colors back in here, were my original scrub in. So when you're scrubbing in and doing that drawing, it was with this round brush here. When you're doing that, if you're just always changing the color temperature a little bit, you get some variation. And then see that kind of middle value there holds up. I don't have to paint it. And if I overpaint it down here, then it'll be, you know, it'll draw attention down there. So anyway, I think it's suggestive enough. And then I used the side of my palette knife to do some of these lines here that I couldn't really paint, dark and light. And now I'll scratch my name in there, the back of my brush. And we're done. Well, thanks for coming along with me today while I painted that. There's the scene. I moved the lighthouse from there all the way over to there, and it didn't even cost anything. So that hill in the distance is the background, and this is a beautiful spot out here. So enjoy. Bye for now.